Welcome to the AWS Toolbox series by cloudonaut. My name is Andreas, and this series is about open source tools that make our lives as engineers working with AWS easier. In this episode, which is available as audio or video, I'm happy to welcome Sebastian Bille and his tool IAM Legend, a plugin for Visual Studio Code. Sebastian will work with me through installing and using IAM Legend to speed me up when writing IAM policies with either CloudFormation or Terraform. So welcome to the show, Sebastian.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
So I'm excited to have you, and I will like to start with introducing you a little bit. So you are a serverless evangelist and the founder and software engineer at Elva, which is an agency and consulting company focusing really 100% on AWS and 100% on serverless. Besides that, you are an AWS community builder and the developer and maintainer of the plugin that we are talking about today, which is IAM Legend. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And how this works, what we will do together is we will work together through installing the tool, working with the tool. And of course, I have a lot of questions to you about how you did come up with the idea and implement that. That's of course a topic as well. Okay, so yeah, let's jump into it right away. So how do I install IAM Legend? So how do I get started?
Yes. So I would say that the easiest way is to go to the extensions tab inside of Visual Studio Code. That's the 4 little boxes there in the side menu. And once there, you search for the extension name, which is IAM Legend. And then you install it. You can also go to like the Visual Studio Code extensions website and install it from there. But I'd say it's easier from within the editor.
Okay, so I found it already. Special props for the name. I really like that. That's very.
I realized I came up with the name like very early on in the process of building it, and then I knew I had to finish it because the name was just too good to let it go to waste.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I found it here. IAM Legend, and I'm now pressing the install button probably. Okay, let me do that.
Perfect.
Okay, so is that all I have to do?
Yeah, that's all you have to do.
Wow.
So what will happen now is that once you are actually writing an IAM policy inside like a CloudFormation file, which includes SAM, raw CloudFormation, serverless framework, and so on, a Terraform file, or actually a node-based CDK file, you will get autocomplete for all of your IAM AWS services and actions.
Okay, let me try that. So I have a CloudFormation template here, a YAML file. Basically, all it includes is an IAM role. I started a little. So this is an IAM role for an EC2 instance. I did the assume policy already. And my idea was, let me write an IAM policy, an inline policy for that role that grants access for downloading S3 objects from a bucket. So you mentioned that now I have autocomplete. So basically, all I do is start typing.
Exactly. You can either start typing just the service name if you already know it, which maybe in most cases you do. And then if you press Control Space, you will get a list there of all of the available services.
All the services, yeah. So
you'll also, for the hover there, you can see that you have like, okay, so this is the S3 is the Amazon S3 service, and there's a link to the IAM reference pages if you want to read more on that service.
Okay, so basically I typed in an S and pressed Control Space, and now a list with all the AWS services starting with an S shows up. S3 is on top of the list. It's probably sorted alphabetically. And so besides the service identifier, it also shows the full name, and a link to the documentation appears as well, which is really cool. Because oftentimes, really, I wonder what was the service name for IAM. So that's really cool. So S3, I picked that. So and now as I'm choosing an action, what I remember is I need to, it's something starting with get That's what I know. So downloading an object is starting with get, and I'm typing that, and basically the drop-down list is still there. I think it did even disappear, or it just appeared automatically. And now it shows me all the get actions of S3, which is actually quite a lot. So I can scroll through them. And what I like very much is on the one side, I see the list, and on the other hand, I see basically this seems to be, is it a summary from the documentation? It shows me.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So this, the documentation that you see inline for all the actions is actually like the short version of the summary that's available on the IAM reference page for each given service. So you can see here like a short description get object in this case, which grants permission to retrieve objects from Amazon S3. You can see that like the supported resource types for this policy is an object, and the condition keys available are the ones listed here, which is quite a lot in this.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so now I can just select get object, and it auto completes the action for me. Wow, that's really cool, because my former process, probably that was the same for you as well. When I have to write an IAM policy, I have a bookmarked to the IAM documentation with the list of all the services, and then I go to there, I search for S3. I realize I need to probably search for simple storage service instead of S3 because I can't find something otherwise. Then I go through the whole table to find my list. So this is really, I have to jump through the browser back to my Visual Studio Code. So to have that in here, this is really helpful, and this will definitely speed up my process because I write a lot of IAM policies every day.
Yeah, but exactly, because as a developer, and I think particularly serverless, where a lot of this is moved, like the responsibility for this is moved into developers' hands, you tend to have to write a lot of these policies, right? And the process for most people is exactly as you said, like you start writing a policy and then you can't never remember exactly how it's written. And so you have to open up and find that page that you bookmarked once, or Google, and it's on the second page or something to find the exact resource documentation that you need. And then you have to go back and so on.
Okay, so very cool. Okay, so this auto completion, that will really help me a lot. Especially because I briefly remember parts of the action name, so when I see it again in the list, I can very quickly pick it up.
Exactly, yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. Okay, so it's basically remembering me in the good old days when I wrote a lot of Java and I had all those auto-completion features. It's actually giving me a little bit of that feeling, the positive one, actually.
Exactly, and I think that the great thing here is that, like, especially perhaps during development phase, when you would otherwise perhaps just put a star because you can't be asked to actually go to find the reference documentation and stuff like that, you can now, like, easier from the very beginning get your policies exactly right with the principle of least privilege right from the get-go.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so maybe what is next? So the next thing maybe we can try, and I want to try, is, so I know that this also works not only for CloudFormation but also for Terraform. I want to quickly check that. So I also have a Terraform file in here, Terraform configuration file, which is using the resource is basically an IAM policy. And I'm using this data element for generating IAM policies, which is called AWS IAM policy document, which allows me to use the HCL syntax to write my JSON, which I prefer when working in Terraform. So you're saying this should work here as well. So let me let me try that. So maybe I do another example. So I'm doing a lot of DynamoDB. Okay. So I tapped in dy. Control space, and now DynamoDB appears on top of the list. So actually, the search functionality seems to be advanced because I typed in dy, and you're not only showing results starting with dy, but you're also showing data sync as well. So which basically only contains those two characters somewhere. So you put some thoughts into the filter functionality as well, as it seems.
Yeah, exactly. So it will find like a fuzzy search for your for the service that you likely looking for.
That's really cool. Okay, so let me DynamoDB, and then maybe let's do a similar one. Get item is get item is the one. So I tapped in get, and it shows me get item, get records, get shard iterator, and again I see the summary of the documentation grants permission to the get item operation. Yeah, I will pick that. Very cool. Okay.
In the top there, if you open up the documentation again, if you just hover the service, it should you can see that the header, the get item there is highlighted, and that means you can actually click that and go directly to the IAM reference page for that.
What shows up is the browser with the documentation of the DynamoDB API get item. Wow, very cool. So did we miss any feature, any hidden, Easter eggs?
There's one more thing that I think is pretty cool, that like many people know that it's possible to use a wildcard in the action. So you could, for example, with the DynamoDB action that we have here, that was get item. What if we want to give this policy all of the like get actions? So you could put a get and then an asterisk, a star, but it's very hard to know what services will actually be included inside that without going to the reference and searching for get and seeing exactly what's in there. But if you do that with this plugin, if you write get and then star in this case, for example, and then you hover the action with your mouse, you can see all of the actions that this will actually include. So you can see in this case for DynamoDB, you will get item, get records, and get shard iterator.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, this is something that's very helpful, because especially when I review an IAM policy, I can quickly see what's behind that, and if I'm if I confirm with the asterisk or if I have something to change there. That's very cool. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So this is really a small tool that would definitely help me writing CloudFormation and Terraform, which I do a lot, especially IAM policies. I have one question for you. So how do you make sure to keep the list of IAMs, the services and the actions updated? Do you have, is that a manual process, or are you able to automate that? Are you releasing the plugin frequently? How does that work?
So all of the services and actions are scraped from the IAM reference page that we mentioned before. And my plan was to, like, from the beginning, to automatically fetch those like get startup from the plugin. But it turned out that the reference page is changing 10 times a day, and there's often like breaking changes in the format and stuff. So what I ended up doing was that I have like the scraper function scrapes the EM reference page. I think it's 2 times a week or something currently, and then it automatically creates a pull request with all of the changes, and then I just do a sanity check on that, and I have a lot of integration tests and stuff to make sure that it works. And hopefully I can remove the manual part of that soon, but it means that like at least once a week, all of the new changes to the EM reference, like the EM services, will be published in a new version of the extension, and the extension will just automatically update itself once you restart your
code. So that also means that this extension works when I'm offline. So sometimes I'm traveling in the train, and at least in Germany, the internet connectivity is very bad then. So it's helpful that it works offline as well. Very cool.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool. So how long did it take you to get that out of the door? Do you have?
It was something, as we talked about before, it was something that was had been on my mind for a long time, that there had to be an easier way than to just keep tabbing between code and the reference page. And so I started the project over a couple of times, I think, until I finally, when I came up with the name, and as I said before, I just realized I just had
you need to.
So I think it took like 2 weeks, perhaps 2 or 3 weeks, perhaps, once I actually committed to it, and got it out. And then there was a couple of features added over time after that, the wildcard resolution being one of them, and the CDK support was one thing that came a little while after that. Yeah.
Okay, and so a question for the community. So how can we help you to basically how can we help you to with this project? Is there any, I don't know, do you do GitHub sponsors? Do you have any features you need help with, or I don't know, promoting the tool, or what is
Yeah.
on your mind?
I think, yeah, of course. Feature requests, pull requests are always welcome. I'm looking into adding autocomplete for the principles as well, because those are super hard to find sometimes. I'm pretty sure I have GitHub sponsors enabled here, but just sharing the plugin would be very much appreciated, and telling me what you think about it.
Okay, so I can tell you, I really like it. It helps me a lot. I'm really happy to promote it here. Yeah, so thanks a lot, Sebastian, for joining me and to go together with me through your Visual Studio extension to speed up my writing of IAM policies in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.